You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
Courtney Vine at her first World Cup can write the Matildas into history. Cue the party!
I'm sure the party is probably still going, not just in Brisbane, but right across Australia. Let's bring in Australian football commentator and broadcaster Georgia Rajic, who we spoke with yesterday. Needed to get you back on, Georgia. Got any voice left?
I'm honestly shocked that I do. It was pretty touch and go late last night. I was row one on the side that the penalties were being taken, and I was surprised I didn't storm the field at one point as well.
Have you been able to process what happened last night? What stands out most vividly when you think back?
The thing that I can never move past at the moment is the fact that every single Matildas player, when they approached that penalty spot, the focus, the composure, you can see every single one of those players, they got to the spot, they took a deep breath, they centered themselves, and they knew exactly what they were going to do. I hope there's articles and podcasts about the mental resilience that this team had in that moment, because they looked so assured, and that's the biggest thing that I've come away from. I just thought from that moment, I'm like, oh my God, we're going to win because we have the mental strength here to go through in penalties, which is not something I've ever really felt safe about when it comes to Matildas, but it was such an occasion.
What about, though, when Mackenzie Arnold stepped up to take her penalty, the goalkeeper for Australia? If she scores that, Australia win. She hits the post. What are your emotions at that stage when what you thought was going to be the victorious kick turned out not to be the victorious kick?
Oh, man, I was shattered because I'm really for goalkeepers taking penalties. I think out of most players in a squad, you're going to have your goalkeepers practicing penalties on each other all day long in training. So I have complete faith. And, Casey Dumont in the A-League Women semi-final as well, she took a penalty, then saved the penalty. So I'm very much for it. And I really think that any other day of the week, she would have buried that. She beat the French keeper. She knew exactly where she was going to place it. Just hit it with a little bit too much power and hit the post.
I don't know whether you do this or not, and it's probably more of a thing on TV than at the ground, but when a player is walking up to take one, whether it's an Australian player or a French player last night, are you looking at their body language? Are you thinking to yourself, oh, actually, she doesn't look that confident, or, hey, she's going to put it away without any problems? Or is that, we're probably just making this up, but is that what you were doing last night as each player came forward?
I wasn't really in a good mental state at the time. I think it's pretty safe to assume. I honestly, most of that game, I had a 1,000-yard stare just looking off into the distance. I even took my glasses off, and I'm not very good with long-sightedness anyway, just because I was so laser focused. But I think once I said to my friend that I was with, if Sam Kerr scores this, we win. So I think it was really touch and go. I was not going to lie, I was pretty nervous about Ali stepping up, but Courtney Vine, that was her first penalty in a professional game of football. And what a penalty it was, and what a momentous occasion that was.
I was actually surprised she was so far down, because the way she put it away, and as you've outlined, she clearly doesn't have much of any experience of taking penalties, but it was so assured for a 21-year-old on the biggest night of her life with the weight of the nation behind her. I've got a bit of audio to play from her afterwards, but she just looked so assured. She, as you said before, it just felt as though she was going to score it.
There was never in doubt. Again, that mental resilience, the way that all of them stepped up. I felt safe with Courtney. Can't say I felt safe with every player, but she just looked so confident and assured in that moment. And I think there was, talking about how she didn't felt like a bit of an imposter leading up to the games because she plays for Sydney. I think Nick Stoll on the BBC was talking about it this morning, but she 100% deserved her position from her performances before the Cup in the Matildas and in their league. But my goodness, she'll go down in history as one of the greatest sporting moments in Australia. I think it's really hard in this moment to think of how many better sporting moments there are besides maybe Kathy Freeman. I can't go past that.
Yeah. How did you feel about the 90 minutes and the 120 minutes? Who do you think had the better of the game?
Not me. I felt sick to my stomach the entire time. But I honestly, once we started playing, I was like, there's every possibility that we can win this. I think France had some clearer cut chances. I watched the highlights maybe 6 times. I came home from the game and watched the game again. But I really feel like there were some really strong opportunities for the French to kind of bury it, but they just didn't have. No, I don't feel like either team had many clear-cut chances on target with enough power to kind of be a real threat. Of course, that Mary Fowler, attempt that was cleared on the goal line by Alyssa Delamita, that was one of the best days of the tournament. It was from an outfield player as well. So, I think it was remarkably even. There was a lot of momentum swings. Australia really came into their own towards the latter part of that first half and again later on. But then France just kept building and building. And in extra time, I really was worried that the French were going to score.
Mm. Can you somehow try to describe the atmosphere inside the ground for us? You get a certain degree of understanding of it by watching on television, but what was it like being inside that ground?
I'm going to say it was wonderfully hostile towards the French, to be quite biased in my opinions. But no, it was the Brisbane Rectangular Stadium is a fantastic place to watch football. It's really built for it, and it really felt like everyone was there and supporting. There was not many French supporters in voice. You could not hear them at all. But everyone was getting involved there. I think there was a bit more cohesion in some of the claps and chants that were happening. And the Matildas active support did a great job in trying to get some of their chants out. So it was so loud. And towards the end of the game, there was a little bit of hostility towards the French as well, which I think also really helped the Matildas. In the lead up to every single penalty that was taken, there was booing, there was shouting. I think it really did add that extra player on the pitch as well, because it felt so, everyone was so together with this one goal of cheering on the girls.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why they call it home advantage. That's what you're supposed to do when you're trying to cheer your team home. I don't think there's anything to worry about when it comes to that. Sam Kerr, we saw her come on 10 minutes into the second half. I actually thought, funnily enough, Georgia, I thought when she walked up, I said to my wife, I think Sam Kerr's going to miss her penalty. I just had this horrible feeling that the fairy tale wasn't going to have the ending that everybody hoped and that she was going to miss. And it wasn't a great pen, to be honest. I've had another look at it today, and it's not a great pen, but it kind of feels like it's written in the stars for Sam Kerr that she will just take this team as far as they can possibly go.
Absolutely. But the thing is, Sam Kerr is not, known for a penalty ability. We've seen it a couple of times that she hasn't been able to score those crucial ones. And I really can't help but think that that's something they have worked towards in training as well. Tony Gustafsson right beforehand said, this is our moment, let's go get it, or something along those lines. I can't remember the exact quote, but I have a feeling that they had practiced intensely for this moment. And like I said to my friend right before that she's got, I'm like, if Sam gets us in, we win. If she doesn't, we're out. And I really think that so much rested on that ability, because I was genuinely terrified of what was going to happen if she missed it.
Yeah, and that only made it 2-2. There was still plenty of water to flow into the bridge after that. You would have, I'm sure, you would have, I'm sure, checked out a lot of social media in the time since as well. It just seems to me as though the entire nation of Australia was just captivated by this. I've seen footage of, fans at Aussie Rules games and everywhere around the live sites, just completely entranced by this. It's as though the entire nation has just gone Matildas mental, if that's a fair enough assessment.
I think it's more than a fair enough assessment. The fact that there was vision at a AFL game in Perth where they were showing the Matildas penalties on the screen while a game was played. I can't even put that into words on how, experiencing, I've grown up, I live in Melbourne, I've grown up in an AFL culture loving football. These are things that if you said to me at the start of the year, I would say you're delusional and living in an alternate reality. There's no way I would think that this is the way that everyone's embraced Matildas. It's something I've always dreamed of, but I didn't think it was ever something that was going to be possible. And I think I said it yesterday to you as well. They are such an easy team to love and get around. And with results like this, if you don't love the Matildas, it's unpatriotic, it's un-Australian, and you need to get on board because the killer train is here and we're departing. Wednesday is going to be insane. And the best thing is, because we've made the semi-finals, we're guaranteed 2 more games. So the dream isn't over yet. There's still more football to come. And I'm honestly devastated with the idea that, in just over a week's time, this World Cup is over.
I know.
We're a football nation now. I'm like, I don't want it to end. I want this to keep going. I'm having the time of my life.
Do you have a ticket for Wednesday?
Yes. And
Great.
a ticket for Sunday.
Brilliant.
The first ticket I bought was for the finals because I couldn't get any tickets in Melbourne. So I was like, look, I'm going to make my way to this game no matter what. And I have organised to be at the next 2 games as well.
It's been so good to chat to you both yesterday and today, Georgia, to get the preview yesterday. You were, I could tell you were so nervous, like a cat on a hot tin roof yesterday, waiting for kick-off to arrive. And today you're just soaking it all in, as I'm sure all of your countrymen and countrywomen are as well. I can tell you on this side of the Tasman, I've seen a lot of footage of friends of mine, and we never cheer for Australia. We never cheer. We never barrack, as you call it, for the Aussies. But last night, there were 5 million Matildas fans over here as well. So look, it's been great to get the chance to chat to you. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy Wednesday and next weekend, and thanks so much for taking the time to chat to us.
No, thank you so much for having me on. I really enjoyed talking about how important this occasion has been.
Wonderful, Georgia. Thanks so much. Georgia Rajic there, football commentator, broadcaster, Matildas enthusiast, and just encapsulating the passion that Australians are feeling.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.